Hi everyone and welcome back. So let's try to understand the life cycle because request comes to the middleware, guards, interceptor, pipes, app module, interceptor is the response and the client. So when client sends a request, it goes to middleware, guards, auth guard, interceptors to change the response, pipe. We have already registered a validation pipe for the DTO. So pipe is already there. This app module, that means it has reached to the controller. Response will be sent to the interceptor to the client. If there are exceptions, you can just use exception filters also. This is all the building blocks combined. So middleware, like, okay, logger middleware, request middleware to track the session. Guards to check the authenticity, you have a auth token in the headers or not. Then pipes for the DTO validations, transforming and validating the request payload. And then it will reach to the controller, do the logic. Either you got a response, it will go to the response interceptor, or it will go to the exception filter if there are any error handling you have done. So now let's see custom decorator like is public, you might have seen, right? So where this is public came from and how we can register auth guard and the middleware. The role of middleware, I mean, you can do a lot of things with the middleware also. Middleware is just like an entry point. If you don't want user to enter into the guard without authorization header, you can write that logic in the middleware also. You can do the proper token validation in the middleware also. But I mean, these are just like roles they have defined. Middleware is just for processing, request validation, logging, session validation and all. Guards are for preventing any unauthorized access. So guards, all the logic of the validating JWT token and all can go inside the guard. So NestJS is very good at decorators. You see here is public. What are we doing here in this? We are doing nothing. We are just saying, okay, I want to set is public true at the NestJS context layer. What I want to see is whenever I try to get the is public value in the auth guard, in the interceptors and all, I should be able to get that. So if the request is going, let's say request is going to the request is going for this API path products /. So already I have set is public. That means the is public value will be true for the request context, which is set for this API request. So in the auth guard, I can say, okay, this is public, don't do the validation. In the middleware, don't do any session validation. And how can we get that information? Using reflection API in the NestJS. So guards are very simple. You just need to implement can activate constructor reflector API, because from reflector you will get an access of the request object or any other properties you have set. Okay. So here we will check if the route is public. How can we check? Using reflector dot get all and override. What is the key? Is public key, right? Context dot get handler get class. So using this I will be able to get what have you set in the is public property. If it is true, that means don't do the validation, it's a public API. Otherwise, get the request object, and inside the request object you can check the header, authorization. All these logics will go inside this. So here in this we can just check, okay, token is not there, unauthorized. If token is there, split it, and here we are doing mock validation. If the token is valid token, admin token, then set the user with this property. So the guards, so what it will do? In the request payload, in the request object, which is flowing through everywhere, I set the user object with this payload, ID, username and role. Role is token admin, then admin, otherwise user role. So it's like mocking something, mocking the behavior, and try to show you the demo that if, let's say, if any token is coming, I should be able to set the request.user object with some metadata, which I can further use for role validation. So you can actually first do the token validation, then add some particular route which requires, okay, only admin user can access that. Then you can just do a role based auth guard. So the logic of the auth guard is to validate the token. Right now we can introduce a role guard, but role guard will not work without auth guard. So they always come in the pair. The order of the execution is the auth guard first and then role guard. Now what is there in the role guard? So role guard is also written in the same way. It will use the reflector API to access on the properties, can activate, execution context. So role guards actually returns true or false. It actually tries to access the property which we have set, role key, in the auth guard token. And because we have already set the role in the request.user object. So the required roles are true. If there are no roles set at the controller layer, then no roles is required. Otherwise, we will just try to check if the user is available in the context object, then allow it, otherwise not authorized. If user session is exist and the role is not matching, then also we are trying to return forbidden exception 403. 401, when token is not there, token is there, role is not there, then we will just return 403 for that particular case. So this is the proper example of this. So here you can see use guard, auth guard and role guard, and here we have set the admin. So this is what this roles decorator, this is also custom decorator, same as the is public, right? So what this decorator is doing, let's try to see. This is setting the roles key with the roles, that is array of roles. So in the roles, it is setting the role array is admin. It is saying that this particular method should only be accessed by the user having role admin, but we need to tell this to the auth guard, okay, that I am passing admin role. You need to check, okay, with the session coming for the user, does that have an admin role or not? So we are using these two decorators. If you use is public here, that means we are just discarding everything else and we are allowing. So, but if you are not using it, that means we are validating the token first using auth guard, setting the row, setting the user object there, and we are checking. We are setting the admin role for this API. That means any user session which is coming in the request.user object should have a role admin. That is being done in the role guard. First of all, if the required roles are set, if not, return true. If they are set, then we need to check, because we already have a user object in the request.user using auth guard. In the role guard, we got the roles for that user, and we are checking if the role which has been defined, the required roles which have been defined at the controller layer, is available on the user session or not. If yes, that's true, otherwise access denied. Right, we'll try to see this thing in the live demo. So these are the pair of auth guard. Now you can use passport, local strategy, passport strategy, auth strategy, Google strategy and all, but this concept is going to be remain same for the auth guard. One is auth guard, validating token, validating session, role guard, validating the role. And how we are setting all these things at the controller layer, we are using these custom decorators, roles, public. So this is how NestJS allows us to create a custom decorator using set metadata. Using set metadata, I am setting some property in the roles key. Same roles key I am trying to access in the auth guard using reflection API.